everybody, it's Mary. Thank you so much for crafting with me today. Today we're going to have some fun again with our monthly hero kit, and we are going to make a snow globe card. So I'm working out the elements of what we're going to put in the snow globe, and right now I'm just stamping them out. The green tree, I'm using two different colors of green, a lighter and a darker. They're a little dry, so it's not coming out as dimensional as I wanted it, but they are getting the point across, I guess. So we're doing the tree, we're doing the bench, and the light post. So I didn't like the way that first light post stamped, so I'm going to stamp it again. I used brown ink for both the bench and the light post. And then here I'm just putting in some different shades of yellow to give us a lit up light post. So I'm using my Copic markers to do that, a light and a dark yellow. So it gives us a little bit of dimension and some interest. I'm using the coordinating dies to cut these images out, makes it super easy. And I'm going to use some Post-it tape to kind of hold them in place. And then I will run that through my Big Shot machine so that we can get perfectly cut out images. And here they are. That's the power of film. So right now I'm just going to take off my elements, put them aside, and then I'm going to start working on one of the focal points of the card, which is going to be the background of the snow globe. So basically what these elements will be sitting in front of. And I'm just kind of working out placement here with the snow globe die. I'm going to pull out some distress inks and do some ink blending here. The first one I'm going to use is the Wilted Violet, and the Wilted Violet is going to be that purple night sky, because I'm kind of doing another snowy night sky scene. It's kind of, I'm again living vicariously through my card since I live in Florida right now. I don't think we're going to see any snow anytime soon. So I'm going to make some snowy cards just to get my fix. And I used the Wilted Violet, and then I went in with that Chip Sapphire. Didn't blend all that great, and I'm okay with that because I think once we add all the elements and some stamping, you're not even going to notice that it's not blended as smoothly, and that's okay. Next, I'm going to take that silver ink that came with the card kit and the snowy stamp from the card kit as well, and I'm just going to put a bunch of silver snow behind the scene there. So I'm just stamping that out. Goes on really nicely. The silver really just gives a perfect amount of contrast. The white was too light. I couldn't see it. So the silvers worked out really nice. And so now I'm going to work on the front portion of the card, which is going to be what we see through, right? So I take that to my Big Shot. I picked out this pattern paper that I had in my stash. I thought it went really nicely with the kind of wintry classic look. And so right now I'm just working on getting that front element situated. In order to make sure that I line that night sky circle in the right place, what I'm going to do is just kind of line this up and pencil mark it. This way I know exactly where to place that down. You'll see that as it all comes together, how that's going to work out. But so I'm just tracing the inside of that frame so I know where to place it. And then I'm going to start working on getting that acetate sheet in there so that it starts to look like a snow globe, because snow globes are glass and this acetate helps give that effect. So I'm just using some really strong adhesive here, and I'm putting it all around, making sure to kind of overlap the adhesive so that there's no gaps or anything. And I'm going to lay down my acetate sheet, press that down really well, and I'm sandwiching it in between two pieces of cardstock. You don't necessarily have to do that, but I like to do this just because it gives it a little bit more stability. So I'm going to put the second piece of cardstock, the blue, behind here. It also is going to give a little bit of a frame as well. And so since I cut those out at the same exact time, they're perfectly lined up where I want them. So I put that in there, and you can kind of see that acetate sheet is shiny, looks like glass, so it works out. And then here I'm going to start putting my card together. And first, I already had that pencil traced, so I know exactly where I need to place that night scene. I'm going to start to put my elements down with some liquid glue adhesive, and then I pop up the little bench just to give him some dimension on the card, so he kind of pops out at you. After all that is in place, what I'm going to start to do now is I'm going to add some really fun, oh, before I get there, sorry, I'm not going to get to the snow yet, but I am going to have this pop up to give us some space with some foam tape. And some foam sheets, these are the stuff you get as a kid. You see it in the craft store, craft aisle. You can pretty much get it anywhere. The dollar store has it. It's really a little bit too thin at the dollar store. But here, this is the kind that has the sticky adhesive back on it. It's really not expensive to use. It makes things a lot easier instead of using a bunch of foam tape all over that card. So it's just made it kind of easy. Next, I'm going to take my Quickie glue pen and I'm going to mark where I want the glue to stick and stay. And that's a little bit on the tree, a little on the bench. If it was snowing at this point, it would fall pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to take that little glue that comes in the kit, the little snow, and we're just going to add it to the card to give that some really fun, real life dimension to the card. So you'll see it in the close-up pictures. It looks really cute. This is a great idea. It's a great element to add. So I'm just moving it around, realizing that there may be just a little bit too much snow in there. I just take a little bit out just so that it has a little bit of movement, but this is not your traditional shaker card where things fly all over the place. It's more along the lines of kind of an illusion of a shaker, if you will. So I'm going to start to put my card together at this point, and I'm using some liquid glue adhesive for that front panel. Going to put it on there, and then it is a snow globe, so we need a base. And so I cut out a base of brown cardstock. And here I'm just going to add a little bit more, kind of make it look a little bit more like wood at this point so that it's just more realistic looking. So we're going to do that. I'm going to use this distress ink as well to kind of give that some realistic dimension there. Sorry about that noise that you may have heard in the background. That was my son. He was having some troubles, so I had to go make sure he was okay. And he was. I think maybe he got banned from the TV for a little bit. It's Saturday, so everybody loves Saturday morning cartoons. But my kids would stay in front of the TV all day long if we let them. Can't do that. So, okay, back to the card here. So what I'm gonna do on this globe part, the base part, is I'm going to stamp the stamp that matches it, gives it some outline, and then I'm gonna heat emboss that with gold heat embossing powder. And that's going to really give that some pop on the card. The theme for the card is I've pulled in a lot of gold for what we're using. I think I could have gone silver or gold with this theme, and it would have been just fine, especially with the silver snow. But I'm kind of pulling in both just to give it a little bit more whimsical aspect of it. So here I'm just working placement and wanted to show you how that's going to come together. Using some liquid adhesive glue to affix that to the front of the card. See, the circle right now looks cute, but when you add that base to it, it really pulls in that snow globe aspect, and I just love that. I think that's so cute, and who doesn't have a snow globe, right? So there we go. So we got the base on, and then next, I don't recommend waiting to put your sentiment on the card until the very end, and here's why. It turned out okay, but I added the sentiment up there and I added some golden powder, but then I have to heat it. And when you put heat on acetate that's not heat friendly, it warps it and melts it. So it kind of warped it right up in the top. I was quick with it, so it wasn't too bad, but I do not recommend that. Make sure you do your sentiment before you do anything else. But sometimes I don't see the card come fully together until its end, or I didn't plan on a sentiment and then I want one, so anyway, it worked out. It was okay, but just future recommendation. So here I'm just fixing up the card, and then the last bit that I'm going to add to this card, I'm going to add just a few gold sequins up there by the sentiment. I think that that's going to add just that final touch to the front, tying in the gold embossing powder on the base as well as the sentiment. So I'm just going to add that using some really strong adhesive, multi-matte, and use my quick stick to help me pick up those sequins. Quick stick has that little sticky part on the end so that you don't have to use your fingers to pick up something, the little sequence like that. Makes it a whole lot easier. So I'm just going to add that, and that's it for the card. Thank you so much for crafting with me today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel to see future videos. All things I've used and supplies will be listed in the description below the video. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.